Any further discussion?
This is ordinance number 01-1027, an ordinance vacating an undeveloped portion of Otelli in parens Rose, close parens, street between Front Avenue and Frederick Street as shown in the recorded plat of Clackamas Heights in parens supplemental, close parens, Clackamas County.
Roll call.
Commissioner Benzo?
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Holliday?
No.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Williams?
Aye.
Great. Resolutions. Agenda item 4.1 is the proposed resolution number 01-35, a resolution authorizing the City of Oregon City to rent one of the safety deposit boxes at Clackamas Federal Credit Union for city records and microfilm.
This seems, excuse me. This seems like such a small item. I don't understand this one. Why are
Well,
we doing this?
let me clarify.
Would you please?
One of the issues with the credit union is that because it is a municipal corporation, they do need the board of directors to approve the authorization because we will just be one of the signers. The purpose of it, of course, is to keep vital city records
We understand
away from the office. But
Yeah.
we figured this would be the 1 hour debate item probably. But
Mr. Mayor, move to approve proposed resolution 01-35.
Second. Despite the wise remarks. Roll call.
Commissioner Benzo?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Holliday?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Williams?
Aye.
breathing with a sigh of relief. Commission decision items. Agenda item 5.1. Mayor, members of the commission, this is the final report on the 2001 Enhancement and Cleanup Event and presentation of the annual John E. Storm Awards. I believe Ms. Cassandra Coogan is here to provide a brief video presentation or visual presentation. And Ms. Mary Palmer is here as well, our public affairs manager, to help her with that presentation.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Just to give you a little overview of how we're going to proceed with this brief presentation, we're here tonight to do a couple things. One, to first of all introduce the committee, and I would just like anyone in the audience who is on the cleanup committee to just stand because they start meeting every November. Well, we have two, Thelma and Jerry over there, and certainly Cassandra and Chris. And we just could not do this without them. We have a committee of about 30 people, I think. Commissioner Neely is on our committee as well. And so the next thing we want to do is let you know what to expect here. Cassandra Coogan is going to has prepared and will present the PowerPoint presentation that tells you what we accomplished this year. We'll follow that by the presentation of the John E. Storm Awards and then the certificates. So Cassandra, if you'll take it from here.
Hard to see.
Will she need the...
Yeah, she'll need the microphone, too, if she's going to talk.
Here you go, Cassandra.
Okay, I don't know if you want to have these lights dim just a little bit more. Can everybody see that all right? No?
Nope.
How about the lights over the commissioners?
You can't turn them on.
No?
There we are.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Hopefully that'll be good enough. Basically, this is just an overview of the results of this year's cleanup. We've compiled some statistics and wanted to show you the various community partners that were part of the cleanup. Basically, on a sunny Saturday, Oregon City residents and SOL volunteers cleaned up 420 tons of garbage and recycling and 400 tires from the city. 950 vouchers were used between April 21st and April 29th, thus extending the cleanup time. And this is something new. This is the 14th, 15th year, and they've never done a week-long extension with the vouchers, so obviously that had an impact. Special sites such as Newell Creek Canyon, the skate park, and the viewpoint were beautified during the event, and we have some great pictures to show you. A brief history of the cleanup for anyone that isn't familiar with it. The 2001 cleanup marked the 14th year that citizens and city employees worked together to clean up, enhance, and beautify Oregon City. The event was inspired by Oregon City's Task Force 2000, a group that was looking for special improvement projects that would advance city beautification efforts in the new millennium. The event has always been organized by a committee of city employees and active citizens who work for nearly 7 months to mobilize 250 to 350 people, including professional contractors, to collectively clean the city of debris, eliminate illegal dump sites, and service hundreds of vehicles loaded with debris or recyclables. We went ahead and put together statistics to show you what has transpired since 1998. You can see that we increased significantly the amount of recycling and garbage this year. So there was 420 tons total, as I had mentioned earlier, which dwarfs the years past. The only decline that we did have were tires, and we think that that's likely because the illegal dump sites had been targeted so heavily in years past that there weren't as many to turn in. So we consider that a real success. Metro South was an enormous contributor to this year's cleanup. The 950 vouchers that I mentioned earlier that were distributed equated to over $38,000 of savings for Oregon City residents. And that's basically about $40 per household. And that's probably a conservative estimate because you can take some loads there that will cost you upwards of $100. So that was a pretty good savings to residents. As a result of Metro South allowing direct drop-off, there was also a significant reduction in traffic congestion at Clackamet Park. This had been a concern voiced by you, Mayor, in years past, and other committee members like Commissioner Neely, who had noticed a lot of pile-up there at Clackamet Park. So this really relieved some of that and also afforded more drop-offs during the actual Saturday cleanup. We had a lot of community partners that made this event successful. B&B Leasing is one of them. They donate their time and trucks to help haul debris from drop-off points. This year we had Larry Follier, who owns a local pressure washing company, and he donated his time to cleaning the elevator entrance. The Environmental Learning Center partnered with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue to haul 2 cars out of Newell Creek Canyon that had been a 15-year-old eyesore, and it was a pretty significant event. They were very far down in the canyon and very old, very rusty, and they were cut into many pieces and hauled kind of in an assembly line up the hill, so that was a real fun part of this. The Earth Crusaders and Clackamas County Recycling Partnership's involvement in this year's event was also invaluable. Several Earth Crusader and Clackamas County Recycling Partnership volunteers helped build these worm bins to house the litter-eating critters at Clackamet Park.
You talking about the commission again?
Oh, no, of course not. I don't know if any of you have noticed these, but worms actually will eat trash and debris that are left around. So that was pretty nice, so close to the skate park. Solve, of course, is a driving force in the event. Not only did they help increase the event's exposure, they also provided funding and volunteers. More community partners from these pictures, which you can barely see. We had volunteers and firefighters work to clean the roadside adjacent the viewpoint. We had volunteers, including helpers from Oregon City Slowpoke Tours, have a little fun while they were picking up trash from the viewpoint. And we even recruited some of the skaters that were there at the skateboard park in exchange for donuts. They cleaned up litter and debris. And you can't see this young man's little picture on front of him, but it says, "We'll work for donuts." We thought that was pretty entertaining. The cleanup also elicited some real positive publicity for the city. There were 2 articles in the Oregonian and really painted a good picture. Solve has mentioned Oregon City as its model city for cleanup events such as this. So kudos to everyone there, and a real nice feel-good story. The cleanup committee this year did a couple of things to thank some of the contributors, including a large banner that was placed there at the event. And we also did an Oregonian ad thanking all of the people that participated in publishing the results, including the 420 tons of debris and recycling that we cleaned up. In conclusion, I just wanted to recognize on behalf of the Cleanup Committee all the support that we got from the city and from the commission. We know that it wouldn't take place without your help and endorsement. Commissioner Neely is incredibly active with the cleanup and has been for years, so he knows firsthand that we meet all year and it takes staff time and it takes volunteer time, and we greatly appreciate you allowing us to do that. And that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Cassandra. Very good.
I would now like to call Jerry Herman up. And Jerry, and we would like to ask the mayor if you would both present the John E. Storm Award. And Jerry is, if you'll give those to the mayor, Jerry. And Jerry is one of the recipients of the John E. Storm Awards in the past. That's right. And if you'll help with the certificates, and then John can just call up the people now. And would you tell a little bit about the John E. Storm Award, though, for people who don't know?
John E. Storm Award memorializes John Storm, who died in 1994. Event down at Clackamas Park. All the efforts that he put in were typical of the efforts going on now, and unfortunately he lost his life. So we want to memorialize him permanently by recognizing people that have done outstanding work, a business or an organization that has contributed significantly to the success of this event. And the event awards, I think, start out with, is it not Larry Fleur? Yes. Okay. Larry, just a little background on Larry for just a moment. And Larry, we'd like to have you come up here and receive your award from our mayor. But the efforts that Larry's made, you know, he washes airplanes all night long. I mean, we're talking about from midnight until 6 a.m. in the morning. He's in Portland International Airport in secure areas, washing aircraft with professional equipment safely. When he gets off work, he comes into Oregon City and identifies areas that need to be attended to and brings his professional equipment in that he uses on aircraft and does some of that work in Oregon City. He's done this in the spring of 2001 and specifically in April, our April 21st event. So that's the reason we've selected him as the outstanding individual.
And it says, Annual Participation Award, First City Enhancement and Cleanup, Oregon City, Oregon, presented September 2001 to Larry Fleur in remembrance of John E. Storm, who lost his life participating in the cleanup of 1994, presented by the city, the commissioner, and myself. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And then there are always outstanding businesses that have contributed to the success of the event over time, and we really felt that this year was the year that we have to make sure that we recognize Dick Bloom and his company, Oregon City Garbage. I don't think anyone realizes all the thing Dick and the fellow people that work with Dick and his organization do, but Don Anderson and Dick and their company are totally committed to this cleanup. In the past, I mean, all those tons, 200 to 300 tons used to flow through their trucks. This year, not as many tons had to flow, but that doesn't begin to count all the things that they do year-round and then specifically for the event. So the reason we're recognizing their outstanding business versus individual is what they are, an outstanding business.
I want to add to that, too, that in the past, the Public Works Department had to visit the older folks' homes who couldn't take their stuff to clean up, and our employees had to do it. They took over that job this year and picked up for nothing. So one of those real advantages of the city. And it says, Annual Participation Award, First City Enhancement, Cleanup, Oregon City, etc., presented to B&B Leasing. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it a lot. We really do.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Donnie. Thanks very much.
The success of this whole program is due to Don Anderson here, Luke Engel, and Scott Shorter, who are my box drivers and my key men. And any problems or anything else, they tend to them. Takes it away from me a little bit, and I appreciate them.
We appreciate them too. Thanks very much, Tom.
Mr. Mayor, you might also mention that that B&B Leasing also provided cans and free pickup for the to keep the skate park clean too.
Oh, yes, that's true. They came to our rescue when the skate park was full of trash, and you're still picking up, still emptying those. Oh, it's marvelous. It looks a lot better than it did to start with. Thank you for that, too. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Now we'd like to recognize individual organizations or people that have contributed to the event's success, and there's at least 20 or 30 people that do this, or organizations, and we have tonight a series of certificates we'd like to present, and Thelma was the individual award John E. Storm last year, organizational award of last year, and her organization, Slowpoke, what was the name of the organization? Tourism Team Connections, I'm sorry. And so that's why we're doing this together. I was the individual awardee last year. So we're presenting these certificates now. First of all, to Steve Smith, Mary, in behalf of Steve, who died this last spring. Steve and his family have always been involved. We'd like to have you receive this certificate of appreciation. Steve Kendrick, if Steve's here. All right. And Steve, I'm not sure, I was in the field working on a skateboard park. What is it you did for us that day? I'm sorry.
I've spent a lot of years organizing the Park Place cleanup, but it's all of the volunteers that consistently show up. Walt Smith, Rich Potter, Bud, a whole bunch of these people that really make it happen in our neighborhood.
So these are the folks behind the Park Place effort. Commissioner Doug Neely, we'd like to have you come down here. Doug has been very much involved in this whole effort, and he gets out there and does the grassroots work as well. Doug, we really appreciate all your support on the ground. Thank you. This award's being presented to Tourism Team Connections again. This year they took on the overlook of Willamette Falls, which was a big mess. Berry vines hanging over the side, poison oak. I won't tell you what Thelma looked like a week later because of the poison oak, but I can tell you she's now equipped with herbicides. She's no more of this direct handling. So we want to thank Tourism Team Connections and her group for working at Willamette Falls. Clackamas Community Corrections. You know, there's a road that I call Firestone Alley, for lack of a better term, behind the Oregon City Shopping Center, that little frontage road next to Firestone that never gets any attention. These folks, for 3 years now, have taken on that road and cleaned it up and maintained it, at least cleaned it up to the point that it would look attractive. It's a real important entry. They're not here tonight, but we wanted to recognize them. Clackamas Community Corrections.
Well, again, this is a group that Jerry has put together over the years. It's called Earth Crusaders, and they're the ones who took on all the landscaping and the cleanup down around the skateboard park, and have done a marvelous job along with everything else.
Thank you, my friend.
Don't fight over it, guys.
Oregon City High School has an ROTC program, and we have some of the cadets here tonight, and I've never seen a group come in so organized, I mean literally, and so on task. And we'd like to recognize the ROTC efforts in helping to landscape the skateboard park. When they arrived, things got really organized.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Stay here, gentlemen. Not only do they help with the cleanup, these young men and their leaders, Sergeant Major Packard back here and Colonel, every time we've asked, they've helped, whatever it is, not only cleanup, but a whole lot of other things in the city, and we do appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
The Environmental Learning Center, is there a representative here tonight? They're the folks that took on the cars, 2 vehicles down in Newell Creek Canyon. And specifically those cars, along with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue's efforts, were cut into segments and conveyed literally out of that canyon. And I know how deep that canyon is. It's pretty deep. So we want to thank them, too. And, you know, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, I remember a year ago, not cars per se, car and truck being taken out of Clackamas Cove. That's what Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue did with Bud's Towing. Also remember this year, all the efforts that Cassandra and her team have put in helping us to mobilize and coordinate the media. You know, so media event, we're trying to draw lots of people in to participate. That's very important. The PowerPoint presentation is just a part of what Cassandra and Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue have done this year.
I'd just like to add a few words to that. Having been in charge of the group up at the Viewpoint, we needed some traffic control, and working with TVF and our people who were there helping us cut down the blackberries, they controlled the traffic while we loaded the blackberry bushes into the back of the B&B garbage truck. And it couldn't have come together if all those partners hadn't been in place that day.
Bud Raspini. Bud, can you, I'm sorry again, I was working on the skateboard park. Can you tell us what you did?
I was up at the Park Place area cleanup, just helping unload trucks and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Bud's done that since he was about 7 or 8 years old. I like that. Every year, even Denise was trying to run him off on his
I was going to add that he's been a long-time regular. We really do appreciate it, young man. Thank you very much.
Girl Scout Troop 204 from the McLaughlin neighborhood location, so to speak, here in Oregon City has been involved, for 5 years that I can remember that troop. Michelle Bonnell and her troop specifically have contributed to the landscaping of the boat ramp at Clackamas Park, the entry feature at Clackamas Park, and this year the skateboard park. And those are at least 3 projects that I can tell you about that I was very much aware of them being involved with.
Thank you again. Thanks for this, and thanks for all your hard work. Thank you.
And I don't know this gentleman is here tonight or not, but Reed Eifert. Reed nearly died about 3 years ago, excuse me, a very serious automobile injury. Came back, not really able to focus his eyes well, but has for the last 3 years produced the most outstanding video documentaries that help promote this event and tell people about what Oregon City's done. These things are broadcast quality. The digital images that he projects, makes available, don't just go on to local TV access. They're used routinely by all the community access networks because of their high quality. And they're aired, I was told by him, a total of over 20 hours of time prior to this event. So it's gotten a lot of good recognition for Oregon City. Reed Eifert Digital Productions.
And just as a final reminder, next year we're doing it again.
We also wanted to mention that we are submitting a request to the Metro Enhancement Fund here in October to expand this to a year-round status, that this event would not just be in the spring, that we would target areas in the fall. Specifically, neighborhoods we would target for local enhancement, and through an Adopt a Neighborhood program, and also an Adopt a Business District concept, where we think business owners that want to see their part of the business world look good should take a personal interest in that area, adopting it, keeping it litter and debris free. Our whole presence, the presence of the city, the visual image of the city is very important in that request. We're not going to talk about that anymore. You'll see it very soon.
Thank you, Jerry. By the way, the other plaque sitting there, Jerry, I forgot to hold that out.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, do you want to talk about this, John?
You tell him, yeah.
Okay. This plaque will be posted out in the vestibule entry to this facility, Oregon City offices and such, and has listed now all the award winners since 1999. So it'll be a permanent exhibit here in City Hall.
Thank you very much.
Well, as you can see, it's an incredible effort, and just to wrap up, I want to say that we did receive our check from Solve today. This would not be possible, really, without Solve and the effort that they...
Could you tell us where that check went originally?
I don't know why. It went to Commissioner Neal.
I opened up this envelope.
Did he endorse it? That's the question.
I opened up this envelope and I saw this check for $1,500. It made my day. Then I looked who it was made out to. It was the city of Oregon City.
Thank you for being so honest. And just to say, of the $38,000 that you saw up there, I talked to Metro today, and they said that their cost was $31,000, and they would like us to come and give a formal presentation before the Metro Council, because if you haven't heard, we are sort of in jeopardy in terms of being able to do the cleanup like we did last year, which was so highly successful, more so than in years past. And the recycling department said if our mayor and/or a
Sure.
designee
You bet.
one of the commissioners
Commissioner
would
Neely.
give a presentation,
Yep.
they would like their council to do it so that they would be inclined to do it again.
Okay.
And
We'll
we
do that.
also have a certificate. Oh, wonderful.
Sure.
And I will make that arrangement.
Please do,
and
yeah.
Thank you so much for giving this the importance we feel it deserves.
Doug and I will be there.
Officially volunteered.
Great. Thank you. I'll get
All right.
organizing.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Thanks very much. Turn it over the other way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, members of the commission, agenda item at 5.2 is Sassy Cab's fare increase request. Mayor, members of the commission, as you recall, we brought this agenda item before you some time ago in conversations with Mr. O'Connor, the owner of Sassy's
Yeah.
Cab.
I tell you, we will give them you folks want to leave, that's fine. You won't be interrupting anything. Go right ahead. We understand this is such an exciting meeting that you may want to stay, though. You missed something.
night, Dick.
Oh. Thanks, Sergeant Major. Thank you. Jerry, you could give that plaque to the recorder. Okay. Now we can get down to business.
Great.
No.
Mr. O'Connor, you cleared the room. No. No. To continue, Mayor, members of the commission, as you recall, this item was brought before you some time ago to the fault of most of which is mine. We didn't have additional information or adequate information for you. Also, since that time, Portland had been doing a rate study for their city, and that's basically how fares are based throughout the metro region to the most extent for most taxi companies. At this point, I believe Mr. O'Connor, the owner of Sassy's Cab, has asked the commission and would like to have the commission consider a fare rate increase to meet the demand of his expenses. And I believe he's in the audience tonight to address the commission and answer any questions you may have. The packet, I believe, is pretty self-explanatory. We've put quite a bit of information in there, information that you've requested as a commission, and therefore we have before you tonight this request for his fare rate increase. I believe I gave the mayor a email from an
Yes.
individual who could not be here tonight.
Yeah, I do have those, and I'll read them into the record, or at least note them, from
Yeah.
Karen Redson.
Yes.
She's been before us twice, and she's giving her opinions here. I'll bring them in when it's appropriate.
Okay, great.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions to ask of the... Would you like to speak first, sir? Well, we'll...
much to say.
Okay.
It would just be clarification of any questions you
All right, any questions?
It may be less actually with him.
Go ahead, name and address, yes, please. Name and address, and...
Tim O'Connor, 20370 South Olson Road.
Okay.
I'd just like to clarify what the city manager said. You're feeling this should have actually been before us earlier and was not. Is that correct?
Well, when we originally brought it forward, it was, I believe, out of a request of a citizen issue of the rates to which the Sassy Cab was
Yes.
charging. Subsequent to that meeting, I had spoken to Mr. O'Connor, and he had brought the rates back to the rate that he had set originally before the increase, and then had continued that rate until this period when he is now asking for his fare rate increase based on much of the discussion of the Portland area and metro, the Portland city, and also the metro area and the consistency of the rates throughout this area.
Could I ask a question from, and it might be of you, from the time that you increased the rates to the time that you brought them back down, how long was that? How long of a period, do you know? Roughly? I mean, roughly how many weeks do you think?
A couple weeks. It wasn't a month. I doubt if it was over a month.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
probably less than a month.
Yes, please.
In our packet information, we received a letter from Sassy Cab Company dated June 25th, 2001. and the letter was signed by yourself as president. In that letter, you state, additionally, this is talking about kind of a justification for the $7 minimum fee.
Right.
It says here, additionally, we have been charging a minimum of $7 in Clackamas County since March of 2001. Is that statement meaning that Clackamas County has authorized that in Clackamas County?
No other jurisdiction monitors rates or regulates rates except for Portland and Oregon City.
Okay. So what bearing does that have to do if they don't regulate it out there on the issue, the city?
What it bears to is public's acceptance. We've been doing the rates. The gas prices had gone up significantly at the time, and it doesn't affect, the minimum does not affect people to any great extent. Most rides are over 2 or 3 miles.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, we would, in my understanding of talking to Portland today, we would be the only jurisdiction allowing this minimum. The only jurisdiction that would allow that in the whole state. What I do find is the drop charge, the mileage, the wait time, and the shared ride are identical to Portland. Also, the proposal was brought up by it was brought up in a meeting of the Board of Review, the Taxi Cab Board of Review, and it was brought up by someone on that review board, which we don't have a review board here. Yeah, we are the review board, thank you. And secondly, that issue was passed, and then it was brought back to that review board for rethinking of that issue, and ultimately has not gotten anywhere in Portland. My understanding is that this $7 minimum rate is not part of anybody's jurisdiction, and I'm feeling really uneasy making it part of ours and stepping out there and saying that it's necessary when no other jurisdiction sees it as necessary.
What this comes down to somewhat is getting just compensation for what we provide. In the city of Portland, which is the only jurisdiction that you're talking about, you have cab companies that have drivers coming out their ears. So their calls as they come in, which is much greater volume than the city of Oregon City or even Clackamas County, are real close to one another. So they get a call, they can be there in a couple minutes. They go down the street, they clear a few minutes down the street, and then their next call is relatively close. In Clackamas County, we have drivers driving from Milwaukee to Oregon City to pick up somebody going a mile and a half down the road to the doctor or something. So the time and money we invest is much greater than the city of Portland. And at those meetings, it was brought up that it could be justified in Clackamas County because you don't have the density of usage that you would have in the city of Portland, where you have motels, you have tourists, you have coliseums. Oregon City has Fred Meyer's and a few doctor's offices and a hospital. We don't have anywhere near the volume to do this. And what we need is something to sustain drivers. And spending 45 minutes, and that's 45 minutes is more like an average than any sort of typical, to do a call that's $3 or $4. Nobody here would work for $2 or $3 an hour. And that's what the drivers have to do sometimes. And there's no place that makes up for it. There's no place that, that makes up for that $3 or $4 an hour. And time after time, I've been confronted with drivers that come in that show me their paperwork. They put in a 10 or 12-hour shift. We have many drivers that are dedicated that work 5, 6, 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day, that they could show me where they come up with a less than minimum wage. And these are people that are independent contractors. They deserve to make twice what they make. Anybody here would not even consider working for what they do. They do deserve the respect of this city and the whole county that the service that they provide. because it's a thankless position.
Can I?
Would you like to respond?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. Personally, if I was running a business, and I don't run a cab business, I don't know anything about cabs, okay? What you're presenting to me tonight is all your drivers are somewhere out in Timbuktu and they got to come back to Oregon City to pick somebody up in their own town where there are businesses just up the street to most of the city residences, to the hospital and that kind of area. Now, I don't know about the cab business. I don't know how many cabs you have, and these drivers are driving from Milwaukee because somehow they can't get a cab out there other than Sassy, and then they get a call out there and have to drive all the way from Milwaukee into Oregon City to pick up somebody to drive them 6 blocks. So let's just use that as an example. And I know you've got what they use. I mean, I've watched TV, and I think cab companies have dispatchers, and they find the closest person to that call, I would think. I don't know. But the issue is, and I'm not going to buy that argument, that all your people are out of town when all those calls come in from Oregon City residences, and you got to drag them in 45 or 15 minutes into town to get there. I could see that as, happening, but I don't see that as, it just doesn't make sense as a regular basis, and you could continue to do business that way. It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. You see it as clearly as anybody could see it. How could we do business? That's because we operate as efficiently as we possibly can. We have 4 or 5 drivers covering Clackamas County in the evenings. That means they can be spread, and it isn't like the calls that we pick up in Oregon City stay in Oregon City. They go to, our cab company is a regional cab company. We are a Clackamas County. We are not Oregon City. And even if you do the math of a ride where they originate, they're in Oregon City, they drive over to Willamette Falls and haul somebody to OCRC or McLean Clinic for $5, you've still got a half hour, 45 minutes in the time it takes to drive down there, pick them up, and run down there. A call is handled in many aspects. It comes in, so you got a dispatcher that you have to man 24/7. They have to put the call in the computer, decide which driver to give it to, and they give it to the closest driver, I guarantee you, and then they go do it. And by the time we show up at the door, it can be shown mathematically that we've earned $7. The 3 miles that is included in that 7 miles is a bonus. We have done an amount of work to justify more than $7 by the time we show up at the door. And these calls, they come in and we do them, and we don't put a priority on this $50 call or this $30 call, which are few and far over the other one. We do them in the order they come in, or the most expedient way. That's the only way we can do it.
Okay. We have a question from Commissioner Holliday.
Actually, I have a series of questions, so we'll just go one at a time. First of all, Mr. Attorney, the code section that we're talking about is 5.28.
That's correct.
Can you tell me when this particular code provision was instituted in,
No, I can't, but I will tell you that it was here long before I got here in '88.
Okay, so it's at least 20 years old.
I would think so, yes.
And probably substantially older than that.
That's what the chief says.
Okay. Were you aware that there was a requirement, because and I wanted to bring this up for Commissioner Hewitt, the June 25th, 2001 letter wasn't written to us. This was written to the city of Portland, I assume. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
But I figured it was.
Well, no, and it's certainly, the arguments are germane to the issue at hand. Just so that we're clear that this letter wasn't written to us, it was written to the city of Portland. Were you aware that it was required for you to come to the Oregon City Commission to get a rate increase?
After Mr. Nakamura contacted us.
Well, it seems to me that we had an issue with taxi cabs a year, 18 months prior to this, and that the issue was brought up then. And I guess
I wasn't present at it, and it wasn't brought up with Sassy's
It
cab.
was with Sassy's cab, sir, because there was.
Why weren't we contacted?
Am I wrong, Doug? But I recall.
I do recall that there must have been a fair incident with a taxi company, I presume it was Sassy Cab. I wouldn't be able to place.
Because
the
I don't
time.
think there's anybody else operating under,
Yeah.
required to operate under our rates.
But I think we have within the last couple of years seen an issue
Portland
dealing
companies
with
coming
rates.
here. You've had some issues of Portland companies coming to Oregon City and the rates that ought to be used there.
So
That's what I recall.
The answer to the question is you weren't aware that you had to come to the city to get a rate increase.
There's no other city in in Clackamas County that I know of that regulates rates.
I understand that. I guess that's my only issue because I was under the assumption, because I know that we have had this issue come before us sometime in the last 2.5 or 3 years that I've been sitting up here, that part of my problem is that I thought that you folks knew that this is the procedure, and I was going to be a little hostile if you were aware of the procedure, went ahead and raised your rates and then come to us for a rate increase. My personal opinion is that I understand why the city of Portland regulates taxi cabs. And given the geographic size and the number of taxi cabs and the possibility for all kinds of shenanigans that would go on in that kind of situation, it makes sense. I'm not sure that economically speaking, it makes sense for the city of Oregon City to be the only other municipality in the state that regulates rates. And B, do we really want to? I'm kind of a market guy. I think the market determines what is best in a private company. There are certain things, utilities, some things like that. It makes sense for us to regulate. I'm not sure that regulating taxi cab rates when we're not able to regulate the rates in the major marketplace, because the major marketplace is the Portland metro area, and we're a small section of it. We can't fix rates for Rose City or Portland Cab or the rest of those. Does it really make sense for us to regulate rates for the one company that we do have that is contributing to the Oregon City economy? I'm going to support this rate increase, and I would support sometime in the near future doing away with our regulation in the ordinance.
Commissioner?
I just in terms of voicing my opinion, I just as soon hear the written documentation that will have be coming before us yet. I believe the letter you mentioned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Karen.
And that's another point I would actually like to make, and he made it, is that we're not a monopoly. If our $7 minimum puts people off, they can and do hire other taxis. Other taxis have started up here, and they come and go because it's a tough way to make a living. Sassy's has bearing the brunt of a really rough summer right now.
The letter we received from Karen Redson says in the second paragraph, I will go on record as saying yes to the $1.80 mile increase, but an emphatic no to a $7 minimum fare. As far as the minimum fare is concerned, I'd ask for a trip-by-trip breakdown as to how much it actually costs to go out on one of these miles from nowhere sojourns and then haul passengers from point A to B. I think he sort of answered that. This would include a 6-month log of trips and mileage written down per trip. Oh, she's saying she wants more documentation of what he said. So that's what she said.
I'd like to pose a question now. Anybody that's offering taxi service here in Oregon City is supposed to come before us. It's not only those that are based here in Oregon City.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I guess I don't know. I mean, I recall what Dan is speaking of. I just don't. I can't place my hand on it. I don't know if another taxi organization has come here and we've approved rates, what their minimum was for those rates. And I just, so I'm kind of operating in a black box to know what we approved before for another entity. But I know something has come before us before.
Can you tell?
Is that something you want me to respond to?
Well, can you tell by the license listings? Of course, we don't have the right people here. Who has licenses in the city?
Well, yeah, we do. We keep track of the business licenses. For example, Mr. O'Connor plays a business
But
license.
do you know that, how many other taxi cabs have licenses? to
Not off
operate
the top
here?
of my head, no. I think the other discussion we had was the difficulty of, determining what cab companies, and Mr. O'Connor and I have talked about this, if a gentleman or an individual from Portland takes, I'm going to pick a name, Broadway Cab, and wants to go to Oregon City and gets dropped off in Oregon City, then uses Sassy's cab throughout the rest of his journey, does that require that cab company to acquire a business license in Oregon City because they actually came into the city limits and dropped the person off? Are they actually doing business here, or was the origination point the business in Portland? Therefore, they've met their requirement in terms of
Actually,
doing
I can
business.
answer that question for you.
Okay.
5.28.010,
Right.
it says it's unlawful any owner or driver of any taxi cab or for-hire car operating over the streets of the city as a public utility for hire and carrying passengers to without first having obtained a license, therefore, is provided in Chapter 5.04. Anybody who drives into the city in a car
Right.
with a passenger that's charging money has to have a business license.
Okay, and I understand the ordinance part of it. It's just the enforcement of it is somewhat difficult to be able to. If someone says, "I've seen it, I saw a Broadway cab come into Oregon City. What number was it? What's the license plate? Were you sure?" And when I did contact, and I will tell you this, I contacted a Portland cab company who we suspected of doing business in Oregon City, and their comment was, "Well, before we get a business license, then we'll just drop the person off at the city limits and say, good luck, call someone that can do business in Oregon City." Or just let them know up front, the only closest we can go is to the border of the city limits. And
Commissioner Bennett?
yeah,
The issue, too, is much greater than just other cab companies. Medical Transportation, which is a large broker for folks going back and forth to the hospitals and doctors' offices, et cetera, have many providers that are not cab companies. So you've got many people providing vehicle for hire service in this town that would be near to impossible to enforce if you had a desire to do so. It's a tough business, and Portland has tough trouble with all its established boards and such, even enforcing their own rules.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to suggest, I think the chief is going to try to check on the question that we were asking. He's left, and I presume he is. Can I suggest that we hold this one back, go to the next item, and then come back to it? If the chief can get information, I'd like to hear it. Otherwise, I'm inclined to table it until we find out what we have done with another, potentially with another taxi cab company.
Did he go out to get information?
Yes, he is.
He did.
So
okay.
can I suggest that we go on to the
Just
next
continue
item and
it
come
there.
back to this immediately thereafter? Is that okay with everybody?
That's fine.
That okay?
Sure.
great. Okay, agenda item 5.3 is the League of Oregon Cities request for Quest litigation contribution. Mayor, members of the commission, at the last meeting, I believe Mayor Williams brought this forward for discussion, and it was asked to be put on the formal agenda item. We have the budget impact this would create. It would, because it wasn't budgeted for, again, it would probably be required to take it out of the general fund contingency.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Holliday.
Move to approve the request from the Oregon League of Cities for the Quest litigation contribution in the amount of $6,390.
Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded?
but I do have a question.
Yes, discussion. please.
The basis of the amount that comes to Oregon City, does that differ by city size? That is,
What it does, if you look on the last page, Commissioner Neely,
Yep.
it varies by the annual franchise
0.03.
receipts received
Well,
by a
that's
city,
right.
not by population.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this? If there's no further discussion, roll call.
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Holliday?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Williams?
Aye. Consent agenda, please.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Roll call.
Commissioner Benzos?
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Holliday?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Mayor Williams?
Aye. And you know, gentlemen, I chose to reappoint, or would like to reappoint, Jane Church and Dr. Scott Dunphy to the OCCIT. They just had short terms because of the way we structured that, and they've done good work. So
Okay.
without any objection, I will make those appointments. And that would do for our regular agenda, except for the item that we may act further on our table here.
Go on to
further discussions in the meantime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a couple things.
Okay.
When will bids be let out on the fire station?
The land use approval will be done probably Friday or Monday at the latest, at which time we can bid it out early next week, probably. Early to late next week.
Just to kind of give you a timeline for that, in talking with Mr. Ochin, our division chief, it appears that the bid time frame could be fairly quick in the respect of 30 to 45 days. There's definitely going to be companies or construction companies that are going to know exactly what they're bidding on, and some that are going to have some questions, but we think we can get the bid time frame within the 45 days, and then once that happens and the bid approval comes forward to the commission, then we can proceed.
The second question I had is related. I believe we're going to take corrective action at, I'll call it the College Station. What's the timeline on that?
Well, that that was also a discussion of ours today, in that we would like to kind of parallel those two together so that we get them done in the same time frame. It also will help keep the cost down because you'll be bidding out two different construction projects. So,
Is there a requirement, a timeline requirement in the public bidding process? As far as putting the structure out for bid, are there some set timelines that it has to be out for 2 weeks, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we have to advertise it twice, and I think it's for 14 days prior to the bid is what our code says.
Okay, we might have some answers now from our other one. Might have been other things.
And did we get a date yet for the joint meeting of the, two things. One, we have a joint meeting with the TVF and our board.
correct. We have not confirmed any date yet because if you recall, there were a couple conflicts.
Then the second question is the special task force to finish up the manning of the station. Do we have a date from the two chiefs on that yet?
No, I have a call in to Chief Johnson, and I have also got a confirmation from Chief Brugman on some dates, but we haven't been able to formalize that yet.
These need to run on parallel if we're going.
Yeah, we're trying to keep those
fire station done, we
intact.
need some way to man it. So, okay. Oh, the chief is here. All
Yeah.
right, we'll go back to that item.
Well, I'll
Okay.
make the presentation. ORS 221-495 allows the city to regulate both the entry into the market and rates. So that includes people from out of the city, should you so choose. And it's a delegation. It's not mandatory, but if you take on that delegation as you have in the ordinance, then you can regulate rates and you can regulate entry into the market.
We can, but the mechanism for doing it.
You've got the mechanism.
No, I mean the physical. You cite a cab and say, "Hey, do you
that's
have a
right.
license?" Yeah.
Well, actually, it should be fairly substantially simpler than that. We know who has a license to operate as a taxi cab in Oregon City, and if an Oregon City police officer sees somebody in Oregon City that isn't on the list, let him pull him over and give him a ticket.
Correct. That can be done.
What if they're just going through Oregon City?
It says use the streets.
Yeah, if we choose to continue.
Right.
Chief, did you have some information on it, or did you leave to get it? Oh, that was
That
it.
was it.
Oh,
That
that
was
was it. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm going to move to table this because I think I'd like to see. I'm sure we did something with a taxi cab company within the last 2 years. Do you have? Yeah.
My name is
You need to come out.
My name is Lumi O'Connor, and I'm the co-owner of Sassy's Cab. I think what you were thinking is a couple of years ago, there's a New Leaf taxi service that opened up in Oregon City. That might have been the one that came
I'm sorry.
here.
Say it again.
New Leaf.
New Leaf, like
Yes.
L-E-A-F.
Yes,
Oh.
they were here in Oregon City for a couple of years.
Okay.
That might have been who you were
And they didn't
thinking
get a
about.
license, if I remember correctly. That was the issue that was brought before the commission.
Okay.
They didn't have one.
Anyway, so I just thought I say that because
Thank
I
you.
remember.
Thank you for that.
Prior to the second,
Thank you.
and I'm realizing an motion to table is not debatable. However, I think we risk putting we risk putting the particular person in financial jeopardy if we table this for more information.
Out of order. Is there a second to the tabling motion? I'll second. Roll call on tabling?
No.
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 Aye.
Aye. Motion dies.
Okay.
So we'll have to take care of it tonight. You can take back that.
Let me see
Yeah.
if I can offer something that would satisfy both parties here. Can we approve a temporary rate increase to these levels for 60 days? Give staff and the other people the time to gather the information that the commissioner would like to see, and that way we don't put Sassy's in a hard spot, and we still have the ability to make another decision in 60 days. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Commissioner Hewitt had something to say, or you killed your light?
Well, I just am really frustrated that we're painted a picture and we're painted into a hole. I see Broadway here, regardless of whether they got a license or not. I see them here. I see them in Clackamas County. I see them in Sunnyside. I see them, all over the place. Okay, and the issue is this particular cab company is the only cab company. Now I know that this is what wasn't said, but it was alluded to. We work out in this rural community where we have to go so far, and no other cab companies do this. Now, come on, give me a break. I don't buy that for a minute. I mean, I see Broadway Cab in Malino. I mean, I don't. It's come on. Somebody's making money, or they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm really having a struggle to say that all of this is justified for Sassy in our city because of that.
Yeah, Commissioner, maybe I could respond to that. You don't know, however, that Broadway Cab was simply delivering somebody from the airport. You don't know that he was called and made a pickup in Malino. That's the issue he's talking about. He's talking about getting called to make a pickup and a short delivery
I
here.
don't know that a Sassy Cab either, Mr. Mayor,
Well,
is out there not doing
I
a
know,
drop-off
but
too.
I think the
Hold it. Derek, you had.
I guess I'm going back to Mr. Commissioner Holliday's point in regards to, first of all, I'm surprised we even have this ordinance that we're even have this requirement for approving rates when it's very difficult to monitor such an ordinance. And I agree that that it's whoever does the best business, and if a person wants to call up someone else and find out what your rates are and pay a couple quarters and find out who has the best rates, then so be it. I think he has some a good supporting document for his case, and I don't think it's unreasonable to approve his proposed fee increases.
Okay, Commissioner.
Yeah. I'm sure there are other companies that are doing business in Oregon City. I've done business with Sassy Cab only in Oregon City, but I'm sure that the telephone directory is there. And the question is, I don't know how many of them have licenses other than New Leaf.
They're gone now, right?
And they're gone now. And in fact, if does this minimum rate, do you know if it holds for most taxi cabs operating in Portland off their rate system? Or do you know that?
They
Whether
don't
the
have
minimum rate.
They don't have a drop of $7. They don't have one.
Not in Portland,
Yeah.
but we have one in Milwaukee, Westland, Clackamas.
Anywhere out of the jurisdiction of Portland, we have established a $7 and have been doing it. We agreed to stop doing it in Oregon City because of.
There's that. Clarity over here. Guest question.
Clarity, when you say we, you're talking about Sassy Cab Companies established a $7, not Broadway Cab and all those other cabs.
We still are in competition.
Okay.
They need to come up to the mic.
Yeah, you have to come up if you're going to talk, yeah.
assume the Sassy's Cab is, I wanted to give a little history here so we understand where Sassy's comes from. Because I feel Commissioner Hewitt doesn't believe where Sassy's come from. Sassy's Cab is dedicated to providing the best quality service to the region that we possibly can. When we bought the company, it was 15 vehicles that had a vintage of a 78. They were yellow, they were beat up, the people smoked in them, there was no drug testing, nothing. We bought the company with our money and immediately started turning that around. We've invested considerable amounts of our money to bring the cab fleet up to what it is now. It needs to be turned around again. We are now have a vintage cars of 91s, and they are getting up into the, and these are all specifics, but it's getting up into the 500,000 mile range, which is something I said I would never do as a person. We mortgaged everything we could do to get the cab rates up to now. That money has not been paid back, and we're ready to do it again. The situation is those figures are right. The few years that showed we lost money weren't as significant as this year. We have not had money because we've made changes to try to entice drivers and give the drivers a larger share to keep good quality drivers, which is our goal, the public's goal, and to provide cars. We cannot do that. We are backing up against in a hole. We went through the slowest summer in as long as we've had it, due to situations that don't really have anything to do with the local economy so much as policies of our contracts. But it still was a tough year. And if anybody can jot down on a piece of paper the investment of a half hour for a $7, even a $7 fare, or even a $5 fare, and come up with something that is a wage that a contractor should be making, a self-employed contractor, they can't do it. The numbers speak for themselves. It doesn't matter if we're driving from Milwaukee, which we do regularly, or from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill in Oregon City. It doesn't pencil out.
Okay. I think we've had plenty of information here, and I think we understand the issue. And is there a motion on the floor? You were suggesting one. Are you making one?
Well, I'll make the motion. I would make the motion to approve the requested fare and rate increases for a period of 60 days to allow any further questions that might. I assume, Mr. Neely, you still have some questions that you'd like to have answered. Is that correct?
I mean, the only question I really have is, do we have other people that are licensed here, are licensed here in Oregon City?
Can I make a statement to that?
Then
change in temporary means all the meters have to be changed.
Yeah,
It's a technical nightmare to change the meters and then change them back. I'm planning on a whole weekend of programming myself.
But the fact is, if you pick up somebody in Gladstone, you're charging a $7 minimum. If you pick up somebody in Oak Grove, you're charging a $7 minimum. The only place that's not happening is Oregon City, where you're based.
Then I'm going to make the motion to approve the rate increase as requested in the documentation, and further to instruct staff to investigate whether any other cab companies are licensed in the city of Oregon City, and if they aren't, to begin enforcement procedures.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And feel free to call me anytime if you got questions.
We'll do that.
Well, I've been happy. I've used your services on 3 occasions, and I've been satisfied with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're through all the business. We've had our.
I have one
Yeah, we're going home.
one request for a future agenda item,
Okay.
and I'll make it in the form of a motion. I would move that we have on the next regular agenda an up or down vote on whether we are going to negotiate a new contract with the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I second.
Roll call.
Could we have a bit of
Yeah, sure.
discussion
Yeah,
on that?
please do. Mhm.
I don't know if you've set up a meeting yet
Yes,
to
we have.
discuss it.
First week in October, probably.
Yeah. There was an agreement in the discussions with the end of the trail, with the at the end of the Trail Foundation that John and I sit down, I believe, with their executive director and also the chair of their board to talk about what might be in this agreement. And that was, I believe, agreed to in general among the discussants. And I think you need to bear that in mind as we take this vote.
Well, Mr. Mayor? I guess the problem I have with that is that it was maybe not quite a duress situation, but certainly we didn't have the opportunity to have a frank discussion among the commission members without the pressure of the other boards being present. And I guess I just feel that it's a waste of time for us to go through negotiating a contract if there isn't the support for that contract at the end of the line, no matter what the contract might be. So I think there's the support to at least have a discussion about whether we are going to negotiate a new contract at this level.
Barry?
Mr. Mayor, when were you having this meeting?
It's be the first week in October, 1, 2, 3, 4, right in there. We're trying to find a time of the day we can do that. Well, you want to speak to that
No,
point?
go ahead.
Well, I kind of feel the same way Doug does. I think at the end of that meeting, we kind of gave a gentleman's agreement. We're going to work on the contract to see if it is possible to write one that we can all agree to. So I'd be reluctant to give him a turn down before we gave him a chance to talk with us. So that's how I feel about it.
And the due process, if this agreement, would that go on behalf of the commission?
That would be it. We'd get here to talk about it, and if we don't like it, we can turn it down, and there would be no contract, and that would be the end of it.
And we could potentially discuss the issue of the whole existence then.
Yeah. Enough? Vote?
Vote hasn't been taken, but yeah.
No.
You need to be reintroduced? Or?
Yes, sir. Starts with an H.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No. Meeting's adjourned.